Welcome to Detroit's Darkest Times. First thing I want you to do is do the big three. And we're going to get this thing started on 14th Street today. On 14th Street, one day in the summer, I was walking to a friend's house, and I'm going down 14th Street from Temple. And then I remember that my sister was over there too, and she was like watching somebody's kid or something like that. But anyways, she knew somebody over there also. But I was going over there to a friend's house, and went to visit for a while. And then I seen two guys in a car parked on the side of the road. And as I was walking down the street, I passed the car, and the two guys are in the car. I guess they're talking or whatever. And when I get to where I'm going, it's a brick building, and it's got like sections of this brick building where when you enter, it's got like a 4-foot brick wall, and then it's got a walk place that you go in like a walkway, and then the doors are, side by side down through there. And this is where a friend of mine lived. But as I was walking down 14th Street, and I turned into, I'm on foot, but I turned into the building, then I heard a lot of gunfire. And that was normal in Detroit. You could always hear gunfire, whether you were sleeping or, in your house watching TV, or at this time, there was gunfire a lot. And so I had got into the building, and I actually looked over the brick wall because I heard the gunshots. And then the only thing I seen on that car was just the windows out and, stuff like that. And then I just went on into my friend's house, stuff like that. So I don't know if them two guys that was talking in that car, if they started shooting each other, or if somebody came by and started shooting them or something like that. I really don't know the deal, and I really don't know if it's a gun or not. It could have been something else. But it sounded like, like gunshots. But I don't know, really, for sure. All I did was walked in there, and then when I heard the noise, I turned around and looked down there, and I just seen the windows out of the car. And, I don't know exactly what happened. So I went ahead and, went into my friend's house. Because I was a young man then, I was just basically being nosy, trying to see what happened, Also on this street, there we knew two teenage guys, and their dad managed a building on this street. And these guys used to ride bikes over to our house, and we lived on Elm Street at the time. And me and my friends used to laugh at these two guys because they come over, to see if we wanted to ride bikes with them. But also, I had a lot of sisters too, so that could have been part of the reason they came. But anyways, we just had met them, me and my friends had just met them. We didn't really know them, and that was because they lived on 14th Street. But anyways, I had one friend that used to laugh at the guys, and they were two brothers, blonde-headed boys. And the reason they used to laugh at them because they would they would come over on their bikes, and they had like they would wear blue jeans, like light blue jeans, like with a t-shirt or whatever. But what my friend we used to laugh at them about, and is because their pants was so tight that you could see the impression of their balls. Sounds kind of crazy, but this is the dead honest truth, you know. And my friend used to, say, "Damn, them guys need to get a different pair of pants and stuff like that." Now, not knowing that they might have did that just to, show the girls, show themselves off to the girls. Who knows, but back in them days, you couldn't your family wouldn't be buying you a bunch of clothes and all different kinds of shoes and all that back in them days. So it could have been that the boys, they was growing, and their parents didn't buy them, pants that'll fit them as they was growing up. That could be one scenario. And then the guys could have did that just to come and show themselves off to the girls. Who knows? But we used to laugh about it, but my friend really used to laugh about it because he was like, "Man, them guys need to get a different pair of pants," And I thought that was funny, And but who knows? They could have. Their parents probably didn't even buy them as they was growing. They probably had to keep wearing the same pants. Who knows? But anyways, these guys had their parents. I don't know if they had a mom. I'm sure they did, but I never did see her. But their dad used to manage a building on 14th Street. And they had got two girls from the neighborhood and started talking to them, and then got them to go to this apartment building. Now, these guys are teenagers, so I don't know if they stole alcohol from their dad, from his apartment, and what they had did in the building he was managing. What they had did is they went to another apartment, like on the second or third floor or whatever, that was empty. And I don't know if their dad gave them the keys or did they just snuck the keys. But anyways, they had alcohol too, so I don't know if they stole it from their dad or if their dad just furnished them with it. I mean, back in them days, you just never knew. But anyways, what had happened is they got these two girls to go to the apartment with them, and they plan on, drinking or whatever. And but one of the girls had a boyfriend, and then somehow he found out about it, and he was telling everybody, and then I think he even told his parents, and his parents had called the police because these guys are teenagers, but also the girls are teenagers too. So they called the police, and then he tells them to go to the building. That he don't know what apartment they're in, but he does know they're in that building. So the police go there with the girls' parents, and then they get a hold of the manager, and the manager has to open up the empty apartments, and then they find them, and what they're doing, they're up there, just partying, whatever they was doing, when they had went into the apartment. But anyways, they retrieved the girls, got the girls back, and I guess the guys got in trouble, and I really think the dude that managed the building, he might have got in trouble, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if his kids actually just stole the keys to the apartment and maybe took some liquor out of his apartment and took it up there, because they wasn't old enough to buy the liquor. So, but that was crazy, and all kind of stuff, different things happened, And 4th Street was a pretty popular street in Detroit City. And these streets run like a one-way street. Then if you got like 12th Street, it'll run this way, and 14th will run that way. Whatever, it's just the way. It wasn't like cars going, both directions. It was just a one-way street. But anyways, over there, there was a lot of fires that happened. A lot of places caught on fire and stuff like that. And years later, you come to find out that people were just burning these houses, and they sat there forever, and nobody ever tore them down or anything like that. So I don't know, during the Detroit robbery, if the mayor and them that robbed the city at the time, I don't know if they was like saying they tore down all these burnt buildings and stuff like that and used funding for the city for that. And I could almost bet they did, but I don't know that to be true. But because they were just entirely a lot of abandoned buildings, and they just stayed there for years, and it was just crazy. If somebody would have went and toured the city that wasn't from Detroit back in them days, they would have really tripped out. Now you got a few that did it, in the last maybe 5 years or whatever, and there's still some buildings, left abandoned, but there was a whole lot of them back in the day. And over here on Michigan Avenue by Tailways, I knew these two dudes, and this one guy used to work at the fence company with me. He used to come sometimes to my apartment. I lived off Livernois by the freeway. And he used to come to my apartment on the weekends and have some beers with me or whatever. But, there's been lengths of time like I wouldn't see him. He would like leave the fence company and stuff like that. And, but anyways, he pops up at my apartment and we're having some beers. And he's telling me that one night him and his brother were walking to the store to get some, beer, liquor, whatever they were drinking. And he said they had got into it with some guys. And it ended up being a bad fight. And he said them guys had knives and they messed him and his brother up real bad. And so bad that they had to the ambulance came and got them, and that was crazy because things like that would happen in Detroit, especially if you was, in them days, especially if you was, out late night trying to go to the liquor store or whatever, and you was on foot, sometimes, people, it was probably like a robbery went wrong, you know what I mean? Because they didn't just literally just start fighting for no reason. I'm sure the guys was trying to jack them for some money or something like that. And it ended up being like a knife fight and stuff like that is what he told me. And, but he said they had got messed up pretty bad and stuff like that. And I was telling him, that, sometimes, man, when it's late night, you got to really be careful. And if you plan on going to the store, you just got to be prepared. You know what I mean? And he said, actually, they wasn't really that prepared because they got the worst end of the deal, And it could be because they was probably both well intoxicated and stuff like that. And, them people just got the best of them. That could have been, what went down. I'm sure he didn't tell me, everything, because a lot of times when people tell you a story of what happened and it's, got to do with them, most of the time the story's not going to be, you know, too accurate because, I know these two guys and I know the one that come to my house real good, but I know his brother too from over on Elm Street. And I'm sure they was, intoxicated. Then they decided they was going to go get some more drinks and stuff. So, truth be known, they probably couldn't defend themselves anyways. I think it ended up being what he said is a knife brawl and stuff like that, and they both got the bad end of the deal, So I told him, you have to be careful, but, back in them days, you couldn't really tell nobody anything. I mean, you could mention something, but they gonna do what they gonna do, you know what I mean? And because they used to go to bars all around Detroit and stuff like that, and everybody else did too. So it just back in them days, nobody really was like really watching their ass. They was just enjoying life, and then whatever came. That's basically how it went down. Like these days, people, if they're going to go out or whatever, they're going to make a plan and, have a designated driver and know the bar fairly well before they go to it. And, just a whole bunch of scenarios that people would do today that in Detroit people don't do. You know what I mean? And it's just the way it is. People just rode, how they rode, and whatever it was, And just to give you an idea about what goes on, you can search up George's Coney Island, or search up Coney Island in Detroit, fights at Coney Island, and then you can kind of see a little bit of the atmosphere that goes on at night in Detroit City. Just look up fights at Coney Island in Detroit, and you'll see, different scenarios and stuff like that. Kind of like what I'm talking about. Because you just have to be ready. You could be at Coney Island just trying to get you something to eat, but you got to be ready because you never know what might pop off. And you never know, like, a lot of times people be drinking and then they go to Coney Island late night to eat, but sometimes you'll get like a well intoxicated person that just wants to mess with people, So that happens a lot. So, you just got to be ready for whatever comes, and a lot of things happen, so you gotta be prepared. Because when he told me that story, I was like, yeah, man, I'm telling you, you have to, watch out where you're going and stuff. As a matter of fact, the night that he came to my apartment, he wasn't in a car, he was walking. So a lot of times back in them days, if you walking late night, you might get to your destination and then you might not. Or just on your way, you might run into some situation that you got to try to take care of and continue on to your destination. But some people wasn't that lucky. There's a lot of times people get stopped dead in their tracks, and that's the last spot they was at in Detroit. So that being said, just always pay attention to your surroundings and where you go and who you run with and stuff like that. Because where I come from, it's a matter of life and death. So you got to know who to roll with, where to go, where to hang out, all that. Because it's just in them days, it really mattered. once you go through a few scenarios and stuff, then a lot of times people don't really do anything like that because they ain't never ran into the scenario. But if they go through a scenario one or two times, their whole way of thinking, their whole way of living, the way they move, and all that's going to be totally different. So, some people, they just won't realize the consequences until it actually happens. Because some people just don't even think about, something like that going down. But it does. But, and there's a lot of good things you could do in Detroit and, go to point A to point B. And, as long as you're moving correctly, you're going to be good. But you just got to know how to move and who to move with and all that. And if you do that, pretty much you're going to be okay. And then there's one incident over on right off of Cecil. I used to live over that way too. One incident, this lady that I know, it's kind of funny. This lady I know, I used to go visit her and drink coffee with her and stuff like that. And I said, "What you up to today?" And she was like, "Well, I'm waiting on my welfare check so I can, do some things, And I said, "Oh yeah," and she was like, "Yeah," and she lived on the second floor, and you could look out her living room window, and you can actually see a bar. And the mailman would always go into this bar, and I guess eat his lunch, maybe have a beer or whatever. And she was mad because she said, "I'm waiting on my check, but the mailman's in the bar and he goes in there all the time, and but he stays in there for a long time." And she's anxious, she wants her check so she can do what she needs to do. And I said, "What you gonna do?" And she said, "I got a good mind to go over there and get my mail from him right out of the bar." But I said, "Nah, don't do that." And I said, "Just call the bar and just tell the barmaid that you want to talk to the mailman. That's all you gotta say." So she calls over there, and they give the mailman the phone, and she's like, "Hey, I'm waiting on my check, and you think I could come over and get it?" And then he's like, "Yeah, you can come over and get it," because what he was doing is just eating lunch, and. But she went over there in the bar, and he gave her check and her other mail and stuff like that. But the thing was, after she got her mail, she was like, "Hey, from now on," because she said, "I see you come in this bar every day." And she said, "From now on, if you don't care, leave my mail first and then come over here. So if you plan on coming in here, she said, I ain't trying to be rude or anything like that, but I just need my mail because I got things I got to do. And if she would have waited on him, it'd been like 1:30 maybe before she got her mail, and she was trying to get a jump start on everything, to take care of what she had to take care of. But she got her mail, and then she said, "I gave him a piece of my mind too." And that's how I know what she said. She told me everything she said. But I thought that was crazy because you have to wait. You're waiting on a check, and then your mailman goes in the bar, and so you have to go to the bar to get your mail from the mailman. I don't really think he's supposed to be in the bar drinking and stuff like that, really. But in them days, that was not now the ordinary, And she didn't really give a shit if he's in there drinking or whatever. She just wanted her mail. But I thought that was funny that it happened like that. Then she was telling me one time that she was dating this guy, and she had bought a bunch of tools because the guy worked on cars and stuff like that. She bought a bunch of tools, all different kinds of tools. She said about $300 worth of tools or whatever, and with the toolbox and all that. And she bought them off the street, you know. So back in them days, you can buy stuff off the streets in Detroit and get a good deal, you know. And anyway, she had bought this dude that she's going with a bunch of tools, and he had them in the car in the trunk. And then she said one day, because I asked her what happened to her and dude, you know, the reason they broke up. And she said, well, one day he left in the car, and then he came back late that night, and he was intoxicated. And but she said he didn't have no money, so I don't know. I was trying to figure out, you know, where he's at and all this, you know. And then the next day, she said I was drinking coffee in the morning, and then I thought about them tools that I had bought, and she said she went out, got the keys, and went out to the car and looked in the trunk, and the tools were gone. So then she realized that what bar he used to go to with her, she was like, I bet he went to that bar and sold them tools to somebody. So she goes to the bar, asks the barmaid about it, and she said, yeah, he came in here to sell the tools, and he sold them to a guy. And matter of fact, the guy's right over there. And so the guy happened to be in the bar when she had went. So she went and asked how much they buy the tools for, because they belong to her. And she said, I'm willing to give you the money back for the tools, but I need my tools back. So the guy was nice enough to, you know, give her tools back for the money that he paid. But then she said that's how they ended up breaking up, is because of that. And I was like, damn, that's crazy, you know. But people used to do some crazy shit, you know, in Detroit. I remember this dude over on Otis, and it was somebody I knew. Him and his friend used to hang out, you know, over there and stuff like that, with another dude. And this dude had an old lady and some kids. I think he had like 2 or 3, something like that. But they used to hang out all the time over there, especially on the weekends. They'd all be partying and stuff like that. But there's only one lady, you know what I mean? So what had happened is one of the dudes that I know started dating that girl. I guess they were sneaking around or whatever. So anyways, the girl ended up booting her old man out. And then her old man had a pool table, some pool balls, and pool sticks. And then he comes to our place and says, hey, I got me and my old lady separating, and I need to sell this pool table, the pool sticks and the pool balls and stuff like that. So we ended up buying his pool table from him and just setting it up in the living room, you know. And then we switched our living room to a bedroom, and then had the pool table in the living room. And that was interesting because we used to party a lot anyway. So when we partied, we'd shoot pool, you know, stuff like that. But I thought that was crazy that, you know, because all them guys were friends. Well, I don't know how tight they was, you know, but they was all kicking it, you know. And then one guy just hooked up with the other girl, and then she booted him out. And he you know, he came to our apartment telling us, you know, because we all lived right there close together, so we all knew what was going on pretty much. And then he told us that, and you know, so we ended up getting that pool table for a good price, because he was just trying to get some money and head out. Anyways, that lady and that dude, they ended up staying together for a long time. And, some years. And then they ended up moving down Livernois, started living on Livernois, stuff like that. But it was just the people I knew in the neighborhood. But I was like, dang, that's crazy, because things like that went down a lot back in them days, So most of the time it was good. If you had a party or something like that, it was good to just have, if you was a couple, you need to party with couples. But if you was, not a couple and there, a lot of people were single, then it was cool to party like that. But a lot of times if you was, partying and, just back in them days, things like that happened. You just be around a lot and things just happen, And that's what happened to dude, and then he ended up having to leave and stuff like that. But the way he was talking, he really didn't even want to sell his food table, but obviously he didn't have no money, and he had to go. I don't know where dude went, because we never seen him after that. He might have got him a bus ticket, and, left town or whatever. But we never seen him after that. Then as time passed, the liquor store that I used to work at, Jim Pollard, later down the road, a friend of mine that worked there, he told me that the place burnt down. And I was talking to him when I was in Texas. I was on vacation in Texas, in Houston and Dallas. And I went over there in Texas to, actually with a friend of mine, because his daughter lived over there, and he had not seen her in years. He wanted to go see her, so we went over there, and so he could see his daughter and stuff like that. But while I was over there, they had a mint over there where they make money. They only have 2 mints, I do believe, in the USA. I think one's in Washington, D.C., and the one's in Texas, if I ain't mistaken. I know the ones in Texas, the one I went to see, but I told him, I said, hey, man, I'm going to this. First, I went to the mint and then went in and find out